Yeah, I mean, I think at this point in time in practice, things are going great. Practice number 9 today, first real big scrimmage that we had. And, obviously you get into scrimmage like this, you want to see a lot of things. We want to see, guys at every position, who's competing, who's getting better, who do we need to play in this position, do we need to switch them, all those type things. We got to see a lot of that today. We played everybody today, and got some different scenarios today. So we ended up with some red zone. Kicked some field goals today. Did a little bit of special teams, but not much. It's mainly scrimmage type stuff. So, but I thought it was good overall, both sides of the ball.
Looked like offense was humming a little bit. Does it feel like J.C. French is starting to get more confident as each day goes by?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Each and every day he gets out here, is feeling comfortable with what we're trying to do, and we're keeping it real simple this spring offensively, so they don't have to think as much. But I've been pleased with his accuracy. Completion percentage has been really high throughout the 9 practices. Going back and charting every practice, he's played at a really good level, completing the football. I think today, a couple overthrows today, but overall, he's had a really good spring. Very confident in his ability to make our offense go. For us this spring, really just trying to, and he's been working with us, all new receivers for him. And those guys have really done some good things as well. And it's been different ones too, which has been good. It's not just been one guy each day.
A few eye-opening plays. Anyone that stood out to you?
It's hard to tell. I mean, you're trying to run so many plays and figure out, and I'm calling plays, so you don't have time to reflect minutes on the play that you just had. Like, I don't even know half the time who's catching some of these touchdowns. Like, I don't even know. You're calling a play, and all of a sudden the ball's going up and the guys are scoring. So, I think overall I'm pleased with the wide receivers that we brought in. We're still trying to decipher where to put those guys and how to play them inside or out, or that type of thing. But they've been making plays. I don't think today we had a drop, or maybe I don't even know if we had any. So they're catching the ball good. Pleased with the tight end group, how they've been practicing. We're limited today running back wise. So it didn't go as much live as I would have liked, but I think. I think overall the wide receiver group has really come strong, and they got to continue to get better.
Speaking of the wide receiver group, Malachi had a big day today.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him throughout camp so far?
Yeah, I think just early on, probably the first handful of practices, just still learning everything and trying to figure out what to do. And, today was a big day for him. Probably his best day was today. JV's been a guy who's probably the most consistent receiver over the last 3 or 4 days. Made some big-time plays on the sideline for us. Gio's been extremely consistent at wide receiver, blocking, catching. He maybe play as hard as anybody on our team right now. I think he really gets after it. But I think all those guys have been, done some good things for us. Cole, Cole Tab, was out today, so it's unfortunate. We'll probably get him back maybe at the end of next week. Perry, probably get him back at the end of next week as well. So I'm just anxious to see, at least especially Perry, because we haven't seen much of him at all.
How would you assess the health of the team getting past the midway point of spring ball?
I would say pretty good at this point. I mean, today I don't think we got anybody hurt today, which is awesome. That's the one thing. Fingers crossed. As you go through spring practice, because you're going against each other, so sometimes you're going to get some dings. But there were some guys we held out today that I think we'll get back next week. So I think overall you're going to get guys beat up in spring. But I would say at this point, after 9 practices, we're in great shape.
What about Thomas Johnson and Philip Nashville, or Patrick Bauer?
Yeah, both of them. They're doing Indy right now, but not team stuff. So, I mean, those 2 guys we're going to count on for next fall. So, I really wish we get some 11-on-11 work with them, because they're going to put, they have a different presence on the edge to be able to get to the quarterback. They're getting close. I don't know that they'll be available for 11-on-11 by the spring is over in the next couple of weeks, but they are doing individual, and what we've seen so far has been good out of those guys.
Do you anticipate the experimentation, playing guys at different spots to kind of continue through spring and then kind of cement those a little bit further across
I think
the
particularly
summer?
on defense, we'll keep doing some of that.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some different packages. For example, if a guy plays Mike backer, but he may be on it, we may have a different package, put him on the edge of the offense and be able to rush. I mean, I just think we got to be able to do that. If a DB plays free safety, we got to be able to bring him down closer to the box, and play the cap position, the outside linebacker. So we're going to continue to do some of that as we continue to evaluate our guys. This will be a big evaluation today.
We're 2 weeks away from the 18th, but any idea which of the quarterbacks you'll go live with? Some of them, obviously,
Yeah, I mean, Brooks maybe be live in the spring game. We've already joked with him about that. We normally do that with our freshmen. We allow them to play. If you guys remember in the past, Drogas was live, back in the day, and I just remember him having a big long run down the sideline. So, because like the freshmen, it's the time for them to get hit, and we'll protect them. We're not going to be crazy about it, but I do want them to be able to take it down and take off running and go get some yards and stand in the pocket and be able to take a hit and still make the throws. So we got to be able to see that. So the first time's not in a game.
You had the executive order signed last night by the president. What was your interpretation of what that could change on college athletics? Did you like it? Is it something?
Well, something's got to happen. This is what we're dealing with is ridiculous right now, and we all know it. That's the frustrating part for me is everybody knows it. Every coach knows it. Every administrator knows it. Every president of every campus knows it, and the government knows it. The problem is, what do we do? If it's this big of an issue where the president of the United States is having to get involved in athletics, it's something bad.
Yeah.
I hope something comes out of it. I don't know if it will, but I hope something comes out of it. It is unsustainable. We've been saying it, and how long are we going to let this go? Everybody's got an opinion and what we can do to fix it. We got to be able to fix it. And I think. We felt like as coaches back in COVID when they passed the paying players and transfer, we knew what was going to happen, and it's created a frenzy of free agency. And if we can somehow curtail that, and whatever that calls for, is it limits on pay or is it limits on transfer? Something's got to happen within that to make it work. How can we get some ground rules around that? I don't know. The big thing is, how do you enforce it? That is the issue, because we have ground rules, but nobody abides by them. So how do you enforce it? And I think, and then the other thing is we got courts involved now. And the courts in this state says something and that one says something else. What are we doing? We got a great sport, and in football and college basketball, they're both awesome. But what we're dealing with right now is insane for everybody, and so hopefully something to come out of it. But I don't know that it will.
Is the 5 years to play 5 and 1 free undergrad transfers? Do you think that's a good starting point?
I would be all for it. I would be all for it. I think it would be a great starting point. And I've heard other coaches say that as well. What we as coaches don't know is the legal part of it. We have no idea about that. That's obviously the issue. Everybody goes to court and gets sued about it, and we don't have anything that we can stand on, and so even the executive order probably not going to stick, so. Even like I think the D1 Council came out last week and said, if you transfer at the end of the semester to a school, well, now the head coach has got to sit out 6 games and 20% of your budget. Well, is that going to stick? I think it'll happen. Somebody's going to transfer at the end of the semester and go somewhere else, and now let's see what happens. So I don't know. I think there's a lot we got to get corrected and fixed with that. In the meantime, we got to learn how to block, tackle, throw, and catch, and do all the stuff we do football-wise. We'll let the higher-ups figure this out.
Thanks,
all right,
guys.
thanks, guys.
Thanks, Scott.